Magnetism, if you look at it, stretches out beyond us. So you see this little magnetosphere we're under. Extends way out into outer space. A magnetar is the most powerful magnet in the galaxy. If you look at a black hole, it's magnetism. Now, we want to talk about an extraterrestrial. Magnetism is an extraterrestrial, and it lives on this planet with us. Number two, what is magnetism? Magnetism is not just a tool for measurement. It is an actual brain that does its own measurements of time and space and distance around us. So it's a fragment of a brain. When this brain gets together, you see what the magnetar is, you see what the black hole is, you see what the sun is, you see what the earth is. That's what happens when that little piece of brain, that little piece of magnet gets together with another piece of magnet, another piece of metal, some copper, and all of these elements and things bring together into a nucleus around a cell. Okay, so you ever see a cell biology? You see that dot sitting right there, that nucleus? Let's just say that's a magnet, and everything it breaks down through that cell membrane wall is metal, and it uses it, or magnet, and it uses it. Another one is, people are like, well, we don't understand a black hole, and anything that goes in there is destroyed. Well, we know that in the word destroyed, it means entropy, which means that we always know that it gives off waste. And most people are like, but it doesn't give off waste. The magnetosphere around the black hole is sitting right there. It becomes a part of the magnetosphere, meaning it's the magnetosphere is moving faster than light. That's why light bends through it and arcs through it, because the magnet controls wherever the light is going. It doesn't matter where the light wants to go to, it has to hitch a ride on the magnetospheres. We literally are just like interacting with this extraterrestrial called magnetism. It's a piece of its brain. So see this stone, if it was a magnet, that's just a piece of the brain. That's just one neuron of the brain. Once the brain gets all together and it's magnetized and now it's thinking, it's going to try to possess the free will of the magnet, metal, and everything else that it so wants to possess free will of, including humans. But when it's demagnetized, it doesn't do that. There's no electricity. It's just sitting there. It becomes a stone on its own, and that's what we stand on. And it begins to ice nucleization, because usually you would use salt, but when you burn up metal and you burn up magnet, you end up with lava and magma underneath the ocean. It's a salt. See the salt? A volcanic lake. That volcanic lake has salts in it, and that salt in it can become nucleized or ice nucleization. Any kind of really sandish type of stuff that falls into liquid water, anything that moves in that liquid water, it's going to turn into a literally ice cube right there in front of us. You could do it with a bottle of water. Take a bottle of water, sit it in the freezer for a certain amount of time, and then when you take it out and you bang it, it turns into ice. That. And if you think about it, all that demagnetized becomes invisible. So magnetism is invisible to the naked eye. I mean, when you're walking around, you're not walking into a magnetic wall, like, Another one is we walk around in it. It's in everything. Magnetism is in everything. So the air that we breathe, what creates that structure of oxygen was magnetism in the first place. The liquid, the way that water has its structure in the first place is because of magnetism. The surface that we walk on was created by magnetism. Our face value, you see our face, our skin, the reason it comes out to what it is because the magnetism pushing out and the magnetism pushing in, and then there's the hot, the cold, everything is that part of us right there, that's the magnetosphere. So see our face? Our face is a magnetosphere, the solid of the magnetosphere. Then there's the liquid of the magnetosphere. And then there's the gas of the magnetosphere. And then there's the magnetosphere itself that we can't see with our own eyes. And the only way we can see it is if we had a certain type of camera that could see the magnetism. Another question people asked me was, what's faster than the speed of light? I said, what's faster than the speed of light is the thought of the magnet when it flipped, moved around, or tried to grab something, or inducted electricity. That thought would continue to move on. I don't care if it burned up or anything. That thought that it had, man, imagine this is a magnet. In the first beginning of time, just imagine this is a magnet. If it turned a certain way and then it turned into a gigantic ice in every direction, that would make sense because it's a magnet. It's going to move around. Another one is if it moved around and started getting really, really hot and it melted away, it wouldn't have mattered because it would still somewhere along the line either be magnet or magnetized. Now, another one, it was like, oh, magnet is a weak force in outer space. You're a liar. I watched the NASA video when the guy had the magnet. It ain't weak up in outer space. When you go up in outer space and you're sitting up there and you got the magnet and you turn it, it will find north or south up in outer space. That's very powerful for a magnet. And for an intelligent species, that's symbiote. Okay, so that symbiote picked up, it hitched a ride on us humans, and I wanted to show you how much it hitched a ride and it evolved its intelligence. Okay, so you see this lighter? It creates electricity. I can light my cigarette up on it. There's magnetism in this. I use magnetism to recharge it and everything, right? So now think about this for a second. This right here is magnetism that hitched a ride with a human with intelligence. That car has magnet. I know it has magnet in it. The refrigerator has magnet. Everything that you see around you where magnetism is this species' brain. It's part of its brain. Its nervous system is the electricity. This is why the book talked about free will. And it's always looking for what its free will is. What can the magnet touch? It'll electrify it to pick it up. Or if it can magnetize it, it will. And all these other things to express its free will. Another one is intelligence levels. Some magnet don't have no intelligence, primitive, it'll bite you. So if you go over and you touch it, if you have two of them a certain way, that's a mouth and teeth. So if you put your hand in there a certain way, it will literally smash your hand. No intelligence and primitive. But after training, if you train it just right, you could put your hand in there and it'll know the difference between your hand and not your hand, because now it has a little bit more training and intelligence that you've added with software. There's a software layer. So see the software for the hardware. The magnetism is a hardware. The electricity that's flowing in and out of it is the software. So now we're interacting with a software hardware, but we're living on a demagnetized magnet. So you see this right here? So some of this stuff right here is demagnetized. See, it's not magnetized. It's not sticking to something like a magnet. It's demagnetized. All right? And that's the outside. See, the outside of it is demagnetized. Other ones are magnetized. Now, some people are just like, well, we don't see this, we don't see that in outer space. Yeah, but every time I talk about it, you don't want to see it as true. Look, magnet has some intelligence to it. And it has traveled throughout this whole entire universe around us faster than light. I mean, you can point out light in outer space, but I'm going to tell you something that's sitting right there in front of our face. That's magnetism. Another one is thermodynamics. Most of outer space is cold, but what makes that cold void of outer space what it is, and what creates that heat is magnet. That's what's causing it. It ain't just thermodynamics that's kicking on the heat in outer space, it's magnetism. But if you think about Earth and where we're at, and you kind of think about it for a second, magnetism, if you look at what it does, it makes some decisions, some really big decisions. But electricity is constantly trying to possess our free will. So imagine this for a second. If you think about an entity that would try to take the free will of a man, what would that be? It would be electricity. I mean, you don't really see magnet trying to do it, but it could also, if you were falling down a magnetic tube or whatever, if you were falling down a magnetic tube, you would slowly fall down and you would bounce off the walls slowly down thing because it possessed your free will. So if in a sense you're looking at an entity that wants to possess the free will of itself, but instead it wants to possess the free will of you too, because you have free will just like it does, but it doesn't realize that its body is magnetism. So I want you to imagine a robot in the future. Its physical body is down on this planet. Its physical body would look like this kind of stone right here. It looks like you know what magnet looks like, right? So ferromagnets that are really, really strong. It would look like that, and you would see it walking around on the planet with us in that form, and it would induct electricity in its heart and walk around magnetized, and that's its form. Up in outer space is the magnetospheres and the magnetism that you see in outer space, and you see the light. That's its nervous system. Now, I mean, I really, because some scientists are going to be like, oh, this guy is not, but I'm telling you right now, listen to me, it's magnetism. I know it's magnetism. And as far as like why it's spaced away, is because demagnetized magnet would become what we call invisible space. So most of the universe is made of demagnetized magnet that is invisible, untraceable to the naked eye. And I'm pretty sure that we got devices that can see in outer space, but I don't think that we're going to be able to track it, because magnetism, it can block itself. It knows how to block things from seeing what it is and how it's made.